Welcome back time to Newcomers Alike 2, Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. Last episode we destroyed Gumshoe's testimony, and this episode we're meeting up with a wily new brother who may or may not have committed the murder. Let us continue. Deal with the dead is still a deal. That sweet kiss I gave to the clown. Give me more info.
There were 2 bullet holes at the scene. One in the victim and one in the clown. You're saying the one who shot the clown was you?
No doubt, my partner Zak has said much the same thing.
Yeah, because whoever didn't shoot the clown committed the murder. I'd better dig around here a bit more and see what I turn up. Mr. Valant, let me ask you something else concerning the crime scene. Namely...
Let's ask about... just in case we picked the wrong one, let's save state. What about the bullet?
In order to shoot a pistol, you need a bullet. Where was the bullet?
I entered the room and took the pistol in my hand. The bullet was already loaded, ready to fire at any time. A magician is always prepared, you see.
Prepared for...
One never knows when a miracle will be called for. A magician always has 7 doves in his pocket and a white rabbit up each sleeve.
Clearly, we're dealing with professionals here.
Is this bullet that was loaded in the pistol really so important? Yes.
Without a loaded bullet, we wouldn't have a murderer. It's very important, Your Honor.
Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony.
What can I do but obey?
That sounds fishy. So let me see if that has anything to do with the pistol.
Objection!
No, if it has nothing to do with that, then maybe the...
Objection!
Nope. Okay, so what about the letter?
Objection!
Okay, maybe it was the wrong thing to ask about last time, perhaps. See, the pistol was already loaded, huh? What about this?
Objection!
Okay, I must have asked about the wrong thing, man. Let's go back. Yes, continue. Okay, so they're not even gonna let me go back through that.
If the pistol was already loaded, something doesn't make sense. Why weren't the victim's fingerprints on it?
You should know that we of Zak Gramarye are capable of many things. One of these being levitation of iron balls without touching them.
There's no magic involved here. The shooter was just methodical is all. He simply wiped everything of fingerprints.
Can't really do much with fingerprints that weren't there. Maybe I should ask about something else.
Yeah, let's ask about the number of pistols.
How many pistols were there when you entered the room?
By which you mean what, precisely?
2 pistols were used in the Zak and Valant quick-draw shooting, correct? 1 for each of you.
You are well informed, yet only one of my old friends sat in the hospital room that night.
What did Zak tell me back in the lobby?
Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time, and found there upon his bedside table 2 pistols. I took the pistol I had fired and placed it in my pocket.
I see no problem with that statement. Only one pistol is visible in the photograph of the crime scene, after all.
So you picked up that pistol and fired it?
Indeed, I did. Alakazaa, alakazing, alakaboom.
Is the number of pistols really so important? Sure.
The number of pistols is quite important, Your Honor.
Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony.
What can I do but obey?
Okay, only one pistol was in the hospital room that night. With it, I shot the tragic clown.
Objection!
Nope.
Objection!
Ah, yes.
According to the defendant Zak Gramarye, when he entered the room, there were 2 pistols on the table.
2?
One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then, he left with it in his pocket.
Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume our defendant has some brains in his head.
Well, what about what Mr. Valant has told us? You see, there's something about his testimony that doesn't make sense.
What might that be? I told you, I took the pistol that was there and shot a clown.
That's your story, at least. But the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Valant. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us.
We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with a bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullets were a perfect match.
Ah,
Mr. Valant, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead!
Order, order, order! Well, this is all rather sudden.
Objection!
Oh, what have I done?
Prosecutor Gavin?
I owe the court an apology. Sorry.
Sorry for what?
You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proves the type of gun that fired them.
Objection! But that's not what you told us before! You said you'd verify the murder weapon.
Which is why I'm apologizing to you now. Quite sincerely, I might add. Would you hold me accountable for a mistake made in my youth?
That was just this morning.
I am still young. And I might add, it wasn't really my fault. If the defendant had only admitted he took 1 pistol from the scene of the crime, we would not be having this pleasant discussion now.
Valant Gramarye.
yes, Your Honor.
You are presented to this court as a decisive witness, but you've proven to be more divisive than decisive.
The beard just laid down a bit.
Objection!
You'll see in time. The testimony so far has merely been a review of the facts. The proof comes next.
Care to elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin?
When Mr. Valant entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. As his next testimony will prove, alright, the real fight is about to begin.
Bring it.
Watch it, asshole.
Very well. The witness will now testify to the court. Help us determine who shot what. Who shot what?
I arrived in the hospital room at the appointed time, which is to say 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation, then called in the doctor. The doctor examined the body before the police arrived. He was quite clear about the time of death, 11:10 p.m. And the one in the room at the time was my partner, not me.
Those times are rather close, you have to admit. You're talking about an alibi established over a matter of minutes. To use a 10-minute discrepancy as the basis of your alibi.
It's easy to explain in this situation, Judge. For example, take our debut hit single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. Cue to the song, press the play button and it will play for 2 minutes 15 seconds. Do it 100 times, the result is the same.
Their debut single was only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long? What a ripoff!
Magic is a world of utmost precision. Hocus pocus requires admirable focus. And in the time of death determined by the doctor there is an incontrovertible truth.
Very well. The prosecution warns us that we're dealing with rather precise times, and we can expect the cross-examination to require the same level of precision.
I would hope the defense refrains from its customarily broad, sweeping accusations. Lest we blur the focus this case so clearly demands.
Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in a penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright.
Carry on. Right.
Come sail away, come sail away. Just kidding. Anyways. Okay, 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled the obligation. Doctor examined the body. That was quite clear about the time of death. What's the autopsy say? Okay, so he says 11:10. I have a feeling there's something in the crime photo about this. No, let's actually press this. Forget that. We'll press it.
I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How could the doctor be so precise with the time?
We do usually only get an estimated time of death, true. I'm not so sure I've heard of a verified time of death.
Magic reveals it, making the complex rather simple, but reality is the opposite. What appears complex, in this case, is a simple matter of subtraction.
I see another person has done their arithmetic homework.
The point here is the IVs the victim was taking. It's quite visible in the photographs of the scene. Recall what we heard earlier about the victim, Magnify Gramarye's schedule. Every night at 11 o'clock, Magnify took an IV drip for 30 minutes.
I can see the IV bag right there, yes.
Now, look a little closer. Follow the tube down from the bag to the end.
Ah, the needle's been removed.
Doubtlessly, it fell out when he was shot.
That would seem to be the case.
When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips.
Ah, you could just measure the remaining IV liquid.
Precisely. The IV liquid functions for our purposes as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determines the time of death. From the amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after administration began.
And so it was, when I, Valant, entered that room. 10 minutes had passed since a horrible crime was committed. And this is proof.
Huh. Well, Mr. Wright?
Did that seem important?
Yes.
Well, seeing how it is the biggest clue we have to the time of death, I'd say it's very important.
Agreed. It would be hard to imagine a more precise way to determine the time. Behold the power of arithmetic. The beard loves 2 plus 2. Very well. The witness will add this detail to his testimony. Yuck, 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 yuck.
Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth.
I think not, Mr. Valant.
Objection!
Wait, it's probably the thing that we just got. Who am I kidding?
Objection!
No? Okay, it's not that. Let's see here.
Objection!
Maybe I need to press. Get a feeling here. What is this? What is this notebook page?
Objection!
No? Let's press it then.
Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance?
When first I entered that room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, the mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then, his left arm did I spy, a rose dripping and wilted, its thorn the discarded IV needle.
Knocked from the vein by the force of the shot, luckily for you. If that IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect.
Indubitably so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color.
Your lucky color?
Indeed, even today I wear it proudly upon my suspect self, for it always, without fail, brings me luck. Why, when Zak and Valant won their first Magician's Grand Prix, yes, the very one held by the Associations of International Magicians, I was adorned in his attire then too, and that trophy, a bust. Ah, what a day that was!
This is one trip down memory lane no one needs.
My lucky color, yes indeed, and that IV too. I say, I think 'twas hewed especially for me, Valant.
That does seem to be the case, indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony?
Valant sure looks happy with himself. Okay. How about this lucky color testimony?
Sure.
It certainly sounds like your lucky colors brought you plenty of luck. But not this time. Mr. Valant, your lucky colors betrayed you.
I'm afraid you've lost me.
Your Honor? The witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence.
What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of this cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I do hope this latest accusation is well based before the beard destroys your face. Rhymes.
Don't worry. I've got plenty of your bases right here.
Very well. Let's hear the defense's claim. Where's your evidence that contradicts what Mr. Valant has told us? It's in the photo, because in the photo, the IV liquid is green, not yellow.
Take that! The crime scene tells all, Your Honor.
The photo of the crime scene?
All this talk of color has me yearning for black and white, clear-cut simplicity. Tell us, Wright, just where's the contradiction in this photo?
My pleasure. And I assure you it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white.
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What in this photo contradicts the witness's testimony? The color of the IV liquid.
Take that! Zak Gramarye, let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes?
Kind of takes the mystery out of it, but yes.
Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright?
Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact. Take another look at the photo of the crime scene.
What's this?
Confusion, doubt. Tell us, what do your elderly eyes spy?
Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Valant. Look at that IV bag.
What is this? What foul magic?
It would be hard to call the IV liquid yellow. And I'm afraid no magic was involved in the taking of this photograph.
Alakaz... no!
Order, order, order! What does this mean?
This is some kind of mistake!
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin? Your witness's mistake. Owned.
The greener they are, the harder they fall. Who writes this shit? I suppose there's no substitute for experience. Valant Gramarye, as you've reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but the IV is clearly not.
Well,
This contradiction can mean only one thing.
Objection!
And to think, you almost had me.
Hmm?
I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright.
Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as this court can tell, the witness's testimony does contradict the evidence.
Yes, a contradiction. One that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright.
How do you mean?
How? Because the witness has made no mistakes. I agree. At a glance, the IV liquid does appear a sort of greenish yellow, but I assure you, the liquid itself is quite yellow.
Yellow liquid? How can you say that? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green.
Yes, but what color is the IV bag itself?
The bag? You mean the plastic bag on the hook?
Huh. It looks like I want to say light blue?
Precisely. Figured it out yet? Put the yellow liquid in a blue bag and...
You get green.
yes. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color.
I see. Your explanation does have a ring of truth to it.
Objection!
As I thought. There's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin.
What?
You may tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave. For you, that is.
Grave?
The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes. But how did the witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? Eat my quarter thing, you bastard!
ALAKAZOOOOOMG! Oh my god!
Order! Mr. Wright, you will explain this at once while this awesome music is playing. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid, so I'm sure it means something, but what?
I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Valant Gramarye, has testified the IV liquid was yellow because...
He'd seen it before.
From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he'd seen it before. But not inside the blue bag we see in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag.
I suppose he would have had to, but I'm still not clear as to what this means.
Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at a hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor.
Objection!
I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knew the IV liquid's color? Leave the getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny bopper fans, yeah?
Objection!
The IV liquid is the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin.
I remember it well.
However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag.
Wait, I know! An hourglass uses sand, but an IV bag uses liquid. I'm right?
As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no.
Oh.
Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body. At which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in.
Let me get this straight, Wright. You're saying the witness watered down the victim's IV bag?
Not with water, but with the IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow.
No, wait! Wait! I said wait! How might an amateur such as myself essay to perform such a task?
Objection!
I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup.
I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite. Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat?
He has a point, amateurs. I, at least, would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag.
You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added a liquid to that IV to throw off the time of death.
I'm tired of these fairy tales lacking evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, any solid evidence to bring us back down to Earth?
Zak Gramarye. I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in the life of crime.
Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting?
Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was certainly able to increase the amount of IV liquid in the bag. All he had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was...
Dun, 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 dun. The small syringe.
Take that!
The victim's syringe?
It's the perfect prop for the magically increasing IV trick. And easy enough for an amateur to use.
What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid in it.
Objection!
And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin?
What?
The victim had the syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Zak Gramarye? As you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you can manipulate at will!
ALAKAZOOOOOOMG!
I do believe, well, with this being his first, that the burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven. And that brings our trial to a close for today.
Well, maybe I can squeeze an extra day out of this. I can't do a little much-needed investigation work.
I see there are no objections. Order to... Who dares abduct the beard?
Truly, there's no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise. Underestimate the young and they'll sweep your feet out from under you. In a way you never, ever expected.
And how so will Klavier do that? We'll find out next episode on the next epic episode of Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney.